UniVerge Blue Monitor is a complete cloud-based plug-and-play video security solution. It includes several features using NEC-supported cameras on a secure direct connection from your local network to the cloud. Full cloud setup, support, maintenance, and monitoring are included. There are API integrations available for AI and other third-party add-ons. You can make 24/7 recordings with archiving capabilities. Multiple service plans are available, subscribing to retention of 3, 7, 15, or 30 days worth of recording. 1 gigabyte of free archive storage is available, with the possibility of upgrading if needed. The downloading and sharing of clips to outside users are available. You can view videos from your web browser or from applications that are available for iOS and Android devices. Web and Smart App event notifications are included, as well as mobile streaming with apps available to turn smartphones into a security camera endpoint. UniVerge Blue Monitor requires one or more NEC-supported video cameras from the following manufacturers: Axis, Vivotech, Grandstream, and coming soon, Hanwha. The video cameras must be connected to your network with internet access. Google's Chrome browser must be used to access the monitor dashboard. On first logging into UniVerge Blue Monitor, the cameras page is displayed. Note that previously defined locations and all of the cameras for each location are expanded in this view by default. They can be contracted, which I'll demonstrate shortly, but first let me point out that the thumbnails, which are live views of each camera, can be resized by using your browser's Control- or Control+ keys to suit whatever preferences you have for your monitor's display resolution. Note that the first floor location has a camera called Mobile Camera, which is being displayed currently as an empty circle. This indicates that the camera is disconnected. We can contract that location by clicking on the location name. Similarly, we could contract the other locations and then expand only the ones we want to look at for the moment. The other 4 cameras that are still visible in this example are displayed with a dark blue circle and a darker blue dot. This indicates that these cameras are not only connected to the network, they are online and are actively recording. Note that it is not possible via this interface for an admin to stop a camera from recording once it comes online and is recording. The search box at the top of the cameras page allows an admin to search for cameras by name. Here, entering PM, we see only 2 cameras. Entering the letter N, we again see 2 cameras. Typing INTAC, we see only 1 camera. So if you had a lot of cameras, this would be a quick way to isolate a specific camera. By clicking on the play button that's seen in the middle of each thumbnail, we can expand our view of the recording that's in progress and gain access to several functions that are available in that display. For the sake of this instructional video, I have momentarily suspended the loading of the live image that would typically take only a half a second to load, replacing the black screen that you see currently. Take advantage of this moment to have a look at controls that are seen. I will be discussing each of them once I permit the video to continue loading. Here, if we click on one of the live video thumbnails, we can see live video being captured and displayed here. By clicking near the bottom, we can bring up several functions via this interface. Clicking on the left arrow allows us to go back in time in 5-minute intervals. Clicking on the right arrow, inversely, allows us to go forward in time up to the current time of day in 5-minute increments. Notice that the time of day index advances along the timeline in 1-second increments. We have the ability to move the time of day by grabbing a hold of the index and sliding it left or right. We can also click on the -1H or the +1H controls to go back in time in 1 hour increments or forward in time in 1 hour increments up until that point where we've reached the current time. If we click on the calendar, we can go back to a specific date, going back in time only as far as this camera's subscription allows. Here I've selected the Friday of the prior week, and it starts at 12 a.m. I'm clicking on the +1H control to advance from Friday morning at midnight through until the earlier morning hours. Here we find evidence of someone having erected a ladder. It looks like an electrician has some work in progress. If I move backwards along the timeline, we see the electrician hard at work here, doing something up near the ceiling. Having skipped ahead a bit, still looking at Friday of the prior week, we can come back to a live view by clicking on the word live. Notice the little red dot indicating that we are looking at the live view. You can always refer as well to the date and time stamp at the bottom to know exactly where you are on the timeline. If the camera is equipped with a microphone, you can adjust playback volume by using the slider shown. There's also the ability, by clicking on a camera symbol, to take a snapshot of the current screen, which gets written to your Windows default download folder. Clicking here opens the file in whichever application is currently defined for PNG files. Note that the font color and style seen in the date and time stamp in the upper left-hand corner, both of this snapshot and live recordings, is determined by the individual camera settings. Having closed the application that was used to view the snapshot, here I am demonstrating in the live view the ability to do digital, zoom, and pan. You can adjust the amount of zoom as well as the position of the center of view within the camera's total field of view. This can be done just as easily with recorded material as well as with live material. You also have the ability in the lower left-hand corner of the frame to click a pause button. Notice that when you do this, the timestamp no longer increments until you resume playback, which brings us back to the current time for this live view. Also, we have in the lower right hand corner the ability to expand the view of this thumbnail to fill the resolution of your display. I'm not going to be demonstrating that here because of limitations imposed by my video creation software. We also have the ability to access settings, perhaps the most valuable of which is to adjust the playback speed if you're trying to locate a specific event within your recording or recent live view. Having returned to the thumbnails view of the cameras page, let's click on the gear to examine some of the functions that are available for each thumbnail. Let's start by clicking on the pencil, which brings up the Edit Camera dialog. The name and location fields seen in the Edit Camera dialog allows you to define the directory structure seen in the templates view on the camera's page. Here I have shortened the name of this camera, and going back in to edit the same camera, I am going to change its location, which will place it elsewhere in the directory tree. I could specify an existing location, but in this case I'm creating a new location. Notice that the camera still has the same name, but it's no longer at the location called Irving Campus. It is now at a location called Irving Office. Speaking of locations, let's have a look at the last two fields on the Edit Camera dialog. This is where you can manually specify the latitude and longitude coordinates of the camera so that it is displayed appropriately on the map page, which can be selected from the main menu. Blue Monitor's map function displays a map that encompasses all of the cameras currently defined to the system. In some cases, they're close enough together that the number of cameras at a location is shown in a blue circle until you zoom in far enough to segregate those cameras. Up at the top of the area first displayed is a camera that is definitely not at that location, and yet it is one of the cameras that is defined to our system. That camera is one that is still using the default coordinates that the system obtains by querying the IP address. In order to correct the coordinates shown for that camera, which are most definitely incorrect at the moment, we can pull up a Google Maps tab with our browser and click somewhere on the building where that camera is located to actually see the coordinates that Google Maps provides for that location in the building. Then we can edit the latitude and longitude of that camera, matching what is shown in Google Maps, then clicking apply, and on going back to the Blue Monitor map function, we now show 3 cameras at that location. Zooming in again at that location, we can see the original 2 cameras as well as the new camera for which we have corrected the longitude and latitude. Having navigated back to the main cameras page, let's click on the gear symbol for one of the cameras to examine some of the functions that are to the right of the edit pencil. The $sign is essentially a link to the Services tab, as if you had clicked on the Services tab directly. This page, the Services page, is not specific to that one camera. If you open Cloud Plans, for example, you can see all of your current subscriptions. You have the ability to upgrade a subscription or unsubscribe that camera. Clicking on that same camera's gear symbol, let's select the third function from the left, also a gear symbol, which opens the camera settings dialog. You can refer to the camera manufacturer's documentation for adjusting the settings shown on the Video tab, but let's have a look at the Motion Detector tab. Here we can see a red rectangle. It's actually a collection of smaller red rectangles, and here I am adding to that zone of sensitivity an area within the frame that is to be monitored for motion. Motion occurring outside the red rectangles will be ignored insofar as detecting motion. Existing zones of sensitivity can be erased with the same action by selecting them with the mouse and dragging. It's possible to create clips manually where you specify the date and time for the start and end of a clip, and I will be demonstrating that shortly. But the main advantage to motion detection is that clips can be created automatically and stored in the Events tab. I'll be showing that briefly as well, but in a later video it will be covered in depth. One last topic here on this dialog is the ability to select the sensitivity of the motion detection, which can be advantageous if you have something that is always moving in the background. That sensitivity can be adjusted by sliding the mouse left and right, or you can simply type the sensitivity. We recommend starting with a value of 30. Coming to the Events tab briefly, and it will be covered in greater depth in a different video, you can see all the motion detection events that have been accumulating thanks to motion detection having been enabled in various cameras. Let's go back into that same camera and look at another function called Create Clip. This is where we can manually create clips by specifying a start and end date and a start and end time for a clip we wish to create from the recordings of a specific camera. Here I have specified a 5-minute duration clip from Thursday of the prior week. This message is displayed stating that a clip creation task has been created and queued for execution. All clips that you create are found here in the Archive tab. It too will be covered in greater depth in a later video. Going back to the cameras page, and then again to the functions available here for this camera. This symbol takes one directly to the Events tab, which again is where motion detection clips were automatically accumulated, but it takes you to events that are specific to this camera. Lastly, we have the delete icon, which will not be demonstrated here. Do not use it without first unsubscribing.